Welcome to Smart Southern Cooking. My name is Dee, and today we are going to be discussing the Holy Trinity. Now, the term Holy Trinity derives from Louisiana's Catholic background, and it was popularized in the 1980s by renowned chef Paul Prudhomme. It is a southern regional mirepoix. A mirepoix and or a sofrito are your first layers of flavoring for your dishes. If you're making a soup, a stock, or a sauce, you would probably want to start with a mirepoix, which is cooking the vegetables down on a lower heat to break them down into one flavorful mixture. Whereas the sofrito is going to be sauteed over a higher heat in oil or fat, and what we're going to do there is caramelize or brown our vegetables. Sofrito is from Italy, whereas mirepoix comes from France. Sofrito uses equal parts in their vegetables, whereas mirepoix uses 50% of onions for added sweetness. Culture sofrito and mirepoix will reflect the heritage of their regions, and our Holy Trinity is a great example of this. It is a mirepoix, but it uses bell peppers instead of carrots because in this region bell peppers are easier to grow and therefore more available. You can see on our presentation some of the more well-known regional flavor bases, and when cooking a regional dish, make sure you start with that region's mirepoix or sofrito flavor combo for a true taste of that region's cuisine. And remember that mirepoix is a more delicate flavor mix of vegetables, and it's going to be used as a flavor base in things like soups or stocks or sauces, things you cook down. Notice that the mirepoix does not include herbs. Any herbs would be added later in the cooking process. All right, here's our onion. There's the root, and then the other part right there you can see is the stem. So we're using a chef's knife to do our dicing with, and we're going to go ahead and cut off the stem, make it flat. All right. We are not going to cut into the root until we're done. The root will hold the onion together. So what we're going to do here is make a couple horizontal slits to help peel the onion. Okay, and once we finish peeling it, what we're going to do is we're going to cut it in half lengthwise, and that means from where the stem was to the through the root. And we'll end up having two halves of our onion. One half we're going to lay the cut part down to the board, and this will protect any chemicals reactions in the air with the onion, which is what makes you cry. So we can hold that down some by keeping the cut edge flat up against the cutting board. All right, you can see there the root. Keep it flat, keep it flat. And then we're going to hold the onion down with our fingertips. Uh, and we're going to make splits, horizontal cuts, not splits, without cutting into the root. Because again, the root's going to hold all this together, make it easier to cut. Then we flip it around horizontally. Notice we keep our fingers in, so we're not going to cut it, and use our knuckles to help guide the knife. And then we just kind of walk our fingers back as we're cutting it, and it should cut into whatever size dicing that you want. And when we're finished doing our dicing, we'll go ahead and throw the root away. We don't need that anymore. We'll take a look at our diced onion, and if we need to do any more chopping, we'll put our knife over it. Notice we hold the small end with our finger and cut rocking motion to cut any extra that we need. All right, so here we are. This is the celery, and we're cutting off the end by the bulb that tastes crappy, and we don't want that in our food. These are pretty easy to prepare. What you want to see here is we have something that we call strings right there. And you just want to be able to grab those and strip them back or string it. And what this does is it makes it easier for the celery to break down while you're cooking and mix the flavor with everything, which is great. I call it giving a little extra love. So just take that time. Then you just slice it to whatever thickness you want and go ahead and dice it. And that's about it for the celery. Our green peppers. First we cut off the stem, And if you look on the inside, there's the seed pod, the little heart of it. So we want to get all that meat in the bell pepper out. We really just want the outside. So take your chef knife and carefully cut up in there. If you can't get it out, you can grab it by your hand. You can split it down the side and pull it out that way. But you want to get that out as cleanly as you can. Then we're just going to basically take our bell pepper and we're going to cut it into 3 or 4 pieces. All right. And then we're going to go ahead and trim off any extra uh, ribbing on the edges there of our green pepper because we're going for the flavor. Again, this is what we call just giving a little extra love, taking a little extra time, and getting that stuff out. It doesn't taste good and you don't really want it cooked in your food. So take the little extra time and clean that up. And then we're going to do like we did with the other 2 vegetables. We're going to slice them to the width that we want to dice, and that's lengthwise. And then we'll go crosswise uh, and cut them and and hopefully dice them into the sizes that we want. Always read your recipe. It'll direct you on whether you want to dice your vegetables, slice, which is another way of saying julienne, or chop, make them bigger chunks. Depending on your recipe will depend on the type of cuts that you're going to do to your vegetables. Um, and it should also instruct you on the type of onion that's best for that recipe. We have different types of onions. We have yellow onions, sweet onions, white onions, purple onions, and they all have different flavors. Uh, so if a specific type of onion is required, it will probably be said so in your recipe. And if not, then the go-to, the standard is the yellow onion.